Welcome back to another video, guys. Today's video is gonna be a little bit different. So, I'm gonna like kind of explain this painting, because I really liked looking at this painting. I'm gonna kind of explain it because, yeah, let's just get into it. The School of Athens by Raphael Sanzio. So, Raphael, he was obviously, well, it's not obvious, but he was born this date, died this date, one of the three greatest painters of the High Renaissance, alone with Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. He became an apprentice painter at 15 years old, and he painted School of Athens between 1509 and 1511 as part of a commission by Pope Julius II to decorate the rooms in the Apostolic Palace in the Vatican City. So now I'm going to explain, because this is just like a painting. This is just painting. But all these different people are different philosophers, and it's kind of hard to recognize who's who. So I'm going to do a little short explanation. So obviously in the middle, you have Plato and Aristotle. These everybody knows from this painting, it's Plato and Aristotle. So Plato's on the left, and actually he's modeled after Leonardo da Vinci. Well, let me take a drink of water. Where's my water? Yeah, so this is literally Leonardo da Vinci, but it's Plato. But yeah, he's pointing up to the sky to represent his core philosophical belief of his theory of forms. True reality exists beyond the physical world. The world is imperfect, and real truth lives in the world of forms. And everything here is, fake, whatever, the cave analogy. He is holding his book, the Timaeus, I don't know how to say that, a dialogue about the creation of the universe. And obviously he has a beard, indicates wisdom, age, authority. But the main thing is his let me go control, his hand here representing his belief, and sharply contrasted with Aristotle's hand. Aristotle, who's younger than Plato because he was Plato's student. He's holding his book, the Nicomachean Ethics, which is about virtue and ethics, and his palm faces downwards and forwards, representing that the fact that truth doesn't have to be solely found above, in the theory of forms, but it can also be found here, hence Aristotelian metaphysics. But also it can be two different ideas where he thinks the theory of forms is where truth resides, but Aristotle thinks that truth can be here as well. But it can also, because he's holding his Nicomachean Ethics, and you can tell because of the book, but it's quite hard to see. But I think it says ethics. But it can also mean, his golden mean of virtue. So in his Nicomachean Ethics, he says, something like anger or something, or kindness. If you're too kind, that can be bad. But if you're not kind at all, that's bad. So you have to find the golden mean of kindness to have perfect virtue. And this can be like, the golden mean. It's not too high, not too low. It's the golden mean. So yeah. Next, let's move on to this area of the photo. So that was the middle. And obviously they're the two main characters because they're the two main philosophers. But then you have Socrates, who's in the green robe right here. And look, he even has his fingers out like he's debating. He's like this. Oh, you said A, B, C. He's doing the Socratic method. He's like saying, okay, you said this. So what do you mean about this? What do you mean about that? You know what I mean? Because the Socratic method is questioning until the opponent begins to reveal their ignorance and reconsider their initial premise or initial argument. And yeah, that's pretty... See, what he is doing in all these photos is everybody... I'm only going to point out the name ones, but everybody kind of is... He painted them in such a way as their posture, says something about their beliefs. So that's Socrates. You have this person in the blue who's Aeschines, something, born 425 BC, and in his youth he actually followed Socrates. So you can see he's looking at Socrates, he's admiring him, and was present at the trial of Socrates. Now if we go all the way to the front here, we have someone called Heraclitus. He's known as a weeping philosopher. His famous quote is, and you guys probably have heard this quote, is, "You cannot step into the same river twice," because he viewed the world as in constant change, always becoming, never being. He's isolated from everybody else, except obviously this guy, but we'll get to him. And he's detached from discussion, and he's turned inward, and he's actually modeled after Michelangelo, showing the connection. Michelangelo, obviously, he was by himself painting the Sistine Chapel, the roof of it. And obviously that's kind of symbolic of, okay, Michelangelo was also detached because he didn't even want anyone coming in the Sistine Chapel when he was painting it. And actually, interestingly, he wasn't even in the original painting. So this is the original sketch of the School of Athens. And if you see, look, he's not even there. Look at the actual painting, and then look at the image. He's not even there. So he was put in, I think it was last minute he put it, and it was pretty difficult to, paint over something that was already complete. But he added him, and it's pretty cool because, as I said, the three main people is Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, and Michelangelo, and as like a tribute to them, Leonardo da Vinci's here, Michelangelo's here, modeled after their respective philosophers who kind of symbolize their philosophy. Yeah. And right here in the left you have Pythagoras. His structure of reality is mathematical, hence why he's writing probably maths books. This right here on the whiteboard is musical harmony. There's a good website, I bet you can just search it up, like what this means. But it's something to do with, ratios and musical ratios. He's surrounded by students. There's people looking at him. And he's pretty influential. And, his idea is structured, systematic, disciplined. If you guys have even read St. Justin Martyr, his dialogue with Trypho, literally the first few chapters, when Justin Martyr was, searching different philosophies, he was looking at Stoicism, he was looking at Pythagoreans, and he said when he joined them, the Pythagoreans were like, do you know music? Do you know geometry? Do you know maths? And he's like, no, you can't join us if you don't know all this. And Justin Martyr was like, yo, what's going on, bro? I just want to join. And he didn't join. And he converted to Christianity. Justin Martyr's a smart guy. But yeah, they're obviously structured, they're disciplined, etc. And you actually have an Islamic scholar, Averroes, who is very influential. He is basically the most modern person in the image because most of them are ancient, and this guy's an Islamic scholar from the 12th century. He was a strong proponent of Aristotelianism, and you can tell in the image he's learning from the Greek guys. He's looking into Pythagoras. This guy right here is Parmenides. He's a philosopher. He's actually like the opposite of Heraclitus because he believes that reality is one and unchanging. Change is impossible. Existence is timeless and uniform. He also rejected empirical evidence. And as I said, it's like the opposite of Heraclitus, who emphasized change. Heraclitus emphasized change a lot. This guy emphasized absolutely no change. I guess you can kind of infer from the painting. They're standing beside each other, but they're opposing each other. Maybe he's standing on a brick to emphasize no change. He's sitting down to emphasize change or something. Like, maybe you guys can interpret that how you want. And then what's interesting is this one woman over here, one of the only females in the image because most of them are males. She's looking directly at the camera, at the viewer. And it's Hypatia of Alexandria. So she was a prominent thinker who taught subjects including philosophy and astronomy. Actually, she was in like the 5th century because Cyril of Alexandria was the patriarch at the time. And she is thought to be murdered by a Christian mob of laymen. I'm not too educated on this, so I was just reading. And I was seeing it was even questioned whether Cyril had something to do with her death. And she's the only one looking at the camera. So maybe, obviously the Raphael, the painter, he didn't really tell you what that means. Why is she looking at the camera? Maybe it's because she's the mediator between ancient philosophical world and us because she engaged with Christianity. Or maybe she's looking at the camera because Christian mob, killed her. Or I don't know why she's looking at the camera, but it's a cool thing to try and interpret. And now you have this bum on the stairs. This is Diogenes, man. He embraced a life of poverty and self-sufficiency. According to tradition, Alexander the Great asked Diogenes if he wanted anything under the sun. And he responded, he was like, yes, that you should stand a little out of my sun. Yo, this guy's a bum, bro. And Alexander was so impressed by this, by the arrogance and grandeur of a man who could treat him with such disdain. And Alexander the Great, the most well-known guy ever, says, "If I were not Alexander, I would be Diogenes." He's a true bum, true rage baiter. He's the OG. Whew. Don't be like him. All right, look at the right over here. You have a couple of people. He's using a compass on a blackboard, and this is Euclid, and he's actually modeled after Bramante. Bramante is another Renaissance guy. Euclid was a Greek mathematician. He was one of the most influential in the history of maths. His main surviving work is The Elements, which is a 13-book mathematical work. Bramante, who he's modeled after, was an Italian architect and a painter. He introduced Renaissance architecture to Milan, and he actually even planned some of St. Peter's Basilica. So obviously this is another tribute, as he did Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and even Bramante. And now, if you guys look, I bet you didn't catch this. Look all the way in the right. Yeah, guess who this is? This is the damn artist. He did a self-portrait of himself. So, but it's supposed to be Apelles of Kos, but it's obviously modeled after himself, because look at them. This is his own picture of himself, and this is the one he made. So it's a self-portrait. And Apelles was actually a painter, and he was very skilled at drawing the human face, and he was a very influential painter. So you can tell again that he himself sees himself in this guy Apelles, who obviously was a prominent painter. He was skilled at painting. He was influential. And Raphael, the painter, thought, it's relevant. And I think he's looking at the camera as well in the painting. But I thought it was very cool. I bet you didn't catch, he painted himself in his own image. That's funny. And all the way at the left, I guess, for humility, he put himself all the way at the right. I mean, right, not left. Okay, and that's the conclusion. It was just a little quick video. I thought this would be cool. I didn't go over every single person, but each character represents someone and their own ideology. And so the painting was even painted to show that Christianity is not contradictory with ancient philosophy, rather in harmony. Because, like Thomas Aquinas and Aristotelian metaphysics. And in the Vatican, in the actual room, it's called like the Room of Raphael. It actually directly opposes the painting of the Disputa, the Disputation, which is a painting of the Disputation of the Eucharist. So there's like the Trinity up above. There's I guess the God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son. That's not the correct taxis. Sorry, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and the Son is the mediator between the Church triumphant, and then there's the Church militant and the Eucharist, which is connecting everybody in the middle. You can just search up the Disputation by Raphael. It's a pretty cool painting. And it opposes the painting like the paintings here and the other paintings here. I don't mean oppose in like contradictory way. It opposes to show their harmony, because Neoplatonic, they're trying to incorporate ancient philosophy into their theology. But yeah, I think this painting is a very cool painting. It says a lot. I didn't go over everybody, but there's different people. Like this guy here is Epictetus, and he's a lover of life. He has a green cap. This can be Alexander the Great, but I think it's someone else. But yeah, I'm not a genius. I don't know who all these guys are, but I thought this was pretty cool because, if I see a painting in person, it is very cool if you actually know, what some of them mean, so you can admire it instead of just like looking and not seeing past what's actually depicted. So yeah, that's basically it. So thank you guys for watching, and if you guys like this video, I might do more videos like this. So thank you guys very much for watching, and God bless. Stay safe, stay read up, stay prayed up. Trust me. God bless.